Please swear in the witness.
Tracy McCray, do you solemnly swear that the testimony that you're giving today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. All right, please state and spell your name for the record.
Tracy, Tracy. Last name's McCray, McCray.
All right. What is your current place of residence?
City and County of San Francisco.
Tell us, who is your current employer?
San Francisco Police Department.
Okay. We'll get into your background with the department in a moment, but can you tell us about your educational background?
I have a BA in sociology from San Francisco State, along with numerous continuing education courses through the police department and on my own.
And are you a San Francisco native?
Yes.
Okay. Went to schools in San Francisco?
Yes, I did. Grammar school through high school, Catholic school, private school, and college.
All right, thank you. All right, let's talk about your time with the San Francisco Police Department. When did you go through the academy and start with the department?
I started with the department in July of 1994 when we merged over from the San Francisco Airport into the San Francisco Police Department. Prior to that, we were just a miscellaneous police department of the city, kind of like the housing authority before they got incorporated into the police department.
Okay, so you started as a police officer at the airport when it was separate from the
Right.
San Francisco Police Department?
Exactly.
Okay. All right, and let's start with when the merger occurred. What assignments and locations have you worked?
So prior to my present assignment at Bayview Station, I've worked at Terraville, Ingleside, and then the airport. So I came to Ingleside in, I think it was 2001, or end of 2000, somewhere along there.
Okay, and you're currently Bayview Station?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and how long have you been there?
Be 10 years, almost 10 years.
Okay. Now or at any time, have you had any elected position or office with the San Francisco Police Officers Association?
No.
Okay. As we continue to talk, I'll probably refer to the Police Officers Association as the POA.
That's fine.
That works for you? Okay. Have you ever been asked to run for office?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about that.
To be a station representative, each station has two union reps, and then a couple of times about maybe running in the general election for one of the positions like secretary or sergeant at arms. It's nice to be offered, but at the time it's just too busy at work.
Okay. Do you have any recollection of who approached you about running?
Numerous people at the station. Chris Schaefer, who was one of our POA reps, he asked me to do it. Marty Banvik, Dan Guzman, just a lot of people have come up to me and, told me it'd probably be good for you, you'd be a good fit.
Have any elected officers of the POA approached you about?
Chris Breen used to ask me like all the time before he retired. I think Marty might have mentioned it a couple of times.
Okay, when you say Marty, you mean
Marty Halloran? Yeah, sorry, Marty Halloran, even Val Kerwin.
Okay, so Marty Halloran's currently the president of the POA?
Right.
Okay, and Val, what's his
Val
position?
Kerwin?
Yeah, what's his position?
Val's the sergeant at arms, I believe.
Okay, and you mentioned Chris Breen, who's now retired.
Right.
What was Chris Breen's position at the POA?
I believe Chris Breen was a prior secretary, if I'm not mistaken, of the POA. Yeah, secretary or sergeant at arms. This was a while ago, so.
Okay, and let me just interject for a second, because we're trying to get sort of clear statements. You're anticipating some of my questions, so you're jumping in before I'm done, just so it's very clear.
Okay.
If you could just pause and let me finish the question, even though you know where I'm going.
Right.
All right, thank you.
I won't interrupt you again.
All right, thank you. All right, so do you consider yourself to be part of any minority or protected classifications of individuals?
I'm sure people would rank me as being a minority since I'm a black female. I happen to be gay. No shock there, and I'm a female, so I'm sure they would classify me into either of those three categories, but I'm just a working cop.
Do you believe you've ever been mistreated or subject to bias as a result of any of those categories by the San Francisco Police Department?
No.
How about by the San Francisco POA?
No.
Have you ever felt that there's been a lack of support in performing your job or otherwise by the police department, its command staff, et cetera, due to your status as a female, as a lesbian, as an African American person?
No, I've always felt supported. I've known a lot of people on the command staff, especially as they've come up through the ranks. I've worked with them, you know, at the various stations that I've been at. I've never felt who I am or what I am has ever hindered me or gotten in the way of anything that I wanted to do. So it's about what I wanted to do. And they've been supportive, you know, encouraged me to, you know, expand, you know, my horizons and, you know, try out for probably things that I wouldn't think that I myself might be good at, but they've given me encouragement. So I've never felt that they weren't sincere or like would not support me to do anything.
All right, and you're referring to supervisors, commanding officers?
Right, Captain O'Sullivan, who's now Commander O'Sullivan, when he was, I remember when he first became a lieutenant at Bayview Station, him, now Deputy Chief Mike Redmond, we were sergeants together, and even Chief Sir, pretty much the whole command staff. I've worked with DC Ali, DC Saenz, even DC Schmidt, who I've known since high school. We went to high school together. She's actually my big sister at St. Rose Academy. So I've never felt, even from all the way to the top of the chain of command, that they would not treat me fairly or with any bias because of who I am or, you know, what I'm trying to accomplish.
Okay. How about the POA? Have you ever felt that the POA has failed to give you support or has shown any bias to you based on your status?
No, actually, I have gone before and made presentations before their finance committee, even before the whole general body. I've requested donations for programs, which I've just gotten for one of guys I've known for a very long time. I grew up with for his youth program. Generally, if I make a presentation and I follow the guidelines that they set forth, I've been fortunate enough to be able to, you know, excuse me, secure donations for some of the programs that, you know, I've been involved with outside of work, along with other members of the POA who request, you know, donations for their teams, traveling teams for tournaments and things like that, or just even donations for programs in the Bayview where I work at. I actually just told Uzuri Peace Green, who's the head organizer of CARE Group, to apply for their community kind of grant that they're giving out. So if I've ever felt that, I wouldn't have told anyone that, oh no, they're not going to give it to you because...
Okay. What is the CARE Group that you mentioned?
So up on Potrero Hill, it's a community group to help the youth and people who live in the community to get better housing, grants for, you know, going back to school, educational, things like that, childcare. So just to help out with that organization.
Great, okay. Do you know a Sergeant Yolanda Williams?
Yes.
Are you aware that she gave some testimony before the Blue Ribbon panel?
Yes.
Okay. And are you aware that one of the statements she made was that the POA does nothing to support minority officers and minority communities?
Yes, I heard that.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well,
I guess let's start with, do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that. There are many minority officers who are part of the POA or members of the POA, and then she is the president of the OFJ, the Officers for Justice, and there are minority members who are members of that group also. I don't feel that the POA discriminates against any one group or a set of officers. I mean, we're all one, in my mind, I don't know about anybody else, but we're all one big family, members of a family. We have our ups and downs and disagreements, but at the end of the day, we're supportive of each other. So for her to make a statement like that, I'm really not sure where she's coming from or what, if she hopes to achieve something by that statement, but I've never felt 20 plus years that that's true.
Okay. Are you aware of whether Sergeant Williams ever held a position with the POA?
I believe she's a POA rep. I'm not sure. I want to say Richmond Station, or some station. But I know I believe she was a POA rep.
Are you aware that she was ever a board member at any time?
That I don't recall.
All right. Now, in regard to her statements that the POA doesn't support minority officers or minority communities, are you aware of whether Ms. Williams has, in fact, ever solicited the POA's assistance, whether financial or otherwise, for any of her causes?
Yeah, at the meeting, at one of the general membership meetings, not that long ago, just before I think it was Christmas, it was November. So she works with Operation Dream, this is the toy drive for the holidays, and she requested, I believe it was a donation of $5,000 to buy toys for that from the POA at that general membership meeting. So, excuse me, yeah, she has requested, a financial donation from the POA, which they did give her.
Okay. All right. So you've indicated that you don't believe you've ever been treated unfairly or suffered any bias from the police department or the POA based on your protected classifications. Have you ever witnessed or known that to happen to other minority officers?
No, I've never witnessed firsthand anyone being treated unfairly or having a bias presented against them because of any of the classes or, race, creed, color, religion, none of that happening.
Okay. Are you aware that Sergeant Williams testified that there is a culture of racism and institutionalized racism within the San Francisco Police Department?
Yes, I've heard that.
Are you aware that are you aware of her or others saying that there are issues with sexism and bias based on sexual orientation within the police department?
Her saying that?
Her or others?
No, not anyone else saying, other than the statements, the public statements that she's come out, and made. But no, I haven't heard it. I haven't witnessed it.
Well, all right. Let me just move on then. In terms of the statement that there is institutionalized racism within the police department, do you agree with that?
No.
Do you believe there's institutionalized sexism within the police department?
No.
Do you believe there's institutionalized bias based on sexual orientation within the police department?
No.
And do you believe any of those, racism, sexism, bias based on sexual orientation are part of the culture of the department or its officers?
No, I don't believe that.
Okay. All right. Do you recall that current District Attorney George Gascon was previously a member of the department?
Yes.
Okay. What rank did he hold?
He was our chief of police.
All right. And that was during the time that you've been employed?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware of him ever making any statements or raising any concerns about bias within the police department during his tenure?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.